How's it, guys and girls? It is Omar here, and I'm going to give you 3 pointers that I think are really paramount for you to have success coming back and coaching your rugby teams. Now, I can imagine you've probably got more questions than answers. For example, what the heck type of condition are players going to arrive in? What are we going to focus on when we come back? How many sessions are we going to have a week? How intense are the sessions going to be? What are we going to focus on? Are we going to focus on defense? Are we going to focus on attack? Are we going to focus on our kicking game? Are we going to focus on our conditioning? Are we going to have an all-court game, for example, where we are known for being a balanced defensive team, a balanced attacking team that's got a kicking game? We're going to put your stall all in defense and think we're just going to smash guys and hold guys out and then score from counter-attack and turnovers. Or you're going to go for full-out attack and say, screw defense, we're going to be a fit running team, play a lot of shape and run teams off their feet. Whatever the case may be, you need a thorough plan. You're probably talking to your assistant coaches and going, what are you thinking? What's your planning? Do you have the defense manual, completely sorted out and down pat? Do you have your attack manual down pat? Do you have your periodized plan of what to do, when to do it, and how hard to do it for the next 4 to 6 weeks? Do you have warm-up fixtures sorted out? How will you run those warm-up fixtures? Will it be chuckers like 20-minute blocks? Will it be a 40-minute half and then that's it, reevaluate? Will it be rolling subs? Will it be a full 80-minute game with officials with proper substitutions? These are things that you need to answer, and I'm sure you're pulling out your hair thinking about them. How do we run the conditioning circuits? Because you need to get the guys and girls fit, but you also need them to be systematic and have clarity and alignment on how we're going to play and be neat in terms of the systems. So the first thing I would say is decide on the style of play. Point number 1, what are you going to live and die by as a team? So your style of attack, your style of defense, style of kicking game. So what I mean by your style of defense, are you be a line speed, so blitz, line speed, physical based, double hitting defense? Do you have a defensive statement? Do you have a defensive defensive goals, tangible and intangible? Do you have a defensive mantra, whatever the case may be? Do you have your whole system mapped up between line out defense, scrum defense, general defense, tackle technique, and so on? Okay. If you're going to go down the attacking route, what does your attacking manual look like? Dominating contact, evasion, catch pass, skill work, and so on. Shape, what type of shapes are you going to run? How many different types of shapes are you going to run? What's your generic sort of foundation shape that you're going to run? If you've got a kicking game, 0 to 30, what are you going to do? Are you going to have multi-phase kicking game to move the coverage around, try and score after a couple of phases, and if you don't score, then you kick downtown? Or you're in 0 risk, 1 phase, or maul only and kick sort of team? Or do you have a kicking manual where you know who's going to be in the maul, who's going to be in the front line, or who's going to clean a ruck, and who's going to be the caterpillar, and who's going to race and be the coverage at the back, and have who's going to come out of the caterpillar and defend in the front line post 2-3 phases? All these myriad of questions are important to understand. What does my kicking game look like? What does my defense look like? What does my attack look like? And do I have the manuals and the intellectual property to back it up? Most importantly, the glue of all those things is going to be the conditioning and the periodization. But number 1, what style of play am I going to have? And then work backwards and say, are we going to be a defensive team, attacking team, or court team, whatever the case may be? And you put your stall out with that, then you can answer point number 2. Point number 2 is have a periodized plan. In other words, how many days a week are we going to train, and for how long, at what intensity, and what are we actually going to do? So how do we combine conditioning with systems? Because you do too much conditioning, you won't be systematically ready to actually play rugby. You do too many systems, you won't be physically ready to handle the demands of rugby. So I would say, how do you break down your sessions? 20-minute warm-up, 10 minutes catch pass skills, tempo running on day 1. What does day 2 look like? If it's defense, is it folding? Is it accelerations and decelerations? Whatever the case may be. Like the first day of preseason, what are you going to do? Have a vision mission meeting, and then you're going to have a conditioning testing session. You've got to decide these things. So periodization and your plan is number 2. So at number 2 is your periodized plan. What are you going to do with your time? How hard are you going to do it? And what are you going to do in those sessions? Okay, point number 3, which is really important for me, is how are you going to select your players and recruit your players? On what basis? So if you answered question number 1, what type of team are we? A defensive team, attacking team, or all-court team? You'll choose players accordingly, recruit and train and select players accordingly. So if you want to be a strong defensive unit that's brutally physical, forces turnovers, you're going to select people that can defend well. If you're going to be an attacking team that's really elusive, that can run from anywhere and got shape and got speed, you're going to choose that type of personnel. If it's an all-court game, you'll choose a mixture. So what's really important is, what is my criteria for choosing my players? So if you've got a defensive criteria, it's got to be, for example, functionally mobile, functionally fit, functional movement, great tackle technique, great attitude, the ability to read shapes in real time, whatever the case may be, good fitness scores. If it's on attack, it's their high speed running, their accelerations, their decency of their catch pass. You might want to test them on catch pass situations or speed execution where there's multiple things going on. If it's a kicking game, you want to test kickers and their high ball skills and so on. So you need a parameter. What type of player am I going to choose and why, based on what type of style we have, and what are those selection criteria going to be based on in terms of actual KPIs. And I'd say the last thing, which is cherry on the cake for head coaches, is choose assistant coaches who are aligned with your vision. So you need to have a vision, which is actually point number 4. Have a vision for your style of play and so on, but choose staff and players that are aligned with your vision. So don't choose an attacking guy who can't stand defense, and don't choose a defensive guy who can't stand attack. You need to be sure. I know sometimes numbers are shortened. In this day and age, you can't always be very choosy, but try and pick people who are aligned with you. That is my 4th point, is choose and select your assistants and your players that have alignment and clarity, that are going to be aligned with what you want for your team. So I hope that helps. So let's just go back to the 3 points, including the 4th bonus point. So the most important thing is, what is going to be your style of play? What are you going to stand for? Number 2, what is your periodized plan? What are you going to do? How hard are you going to do it? And for how long are you going to do it? So it's when you're going to introduce conditioning, skills, catch pass, defense system, collisions, and so on. The last point is, what are you going to select the players by? So what is the criteria and the KPIs that are going to serve you in choosing players and even staff? And the last thing is, whoever you choose for your game plan, staff and players alike, they need to be aligned and believe in what you're doing and believe in your vision. Okay, that's all from me. If you need something, go to whistletowhistle.com or email us at info@whistletowhistle.com and we'll help you. We can even be your guardian angels for a season where we can come in and actually help you with all this. So if you're stuck and you're asking yourself all these questions and you don't know where to go, you can book a consultation with myself and our high performance consultant, Johan Pretorius, who's done Super Rugby, who's done International Rugby, and we can help you periodize your season, give you the drills, and assist you in hitting the ground running with anything you need. It's good to see you. Take care.